Well, welcome to the 700 Club. The world is watching Geneva today. The high-stakes diplomacy between the U.S. and Iran is taking place in the midst of growing military threats.
The outcome could reshape the Middle East. CBN's Paul Petit brings us the latest from Jerusalem.
After weeks of U.S. military buildup in the Middle East, the United States and Iran are engaging in the next round of high-stakes talks today in Geneva, and it could determine whether the region moves forward in diplomacy or conflict. Iran's foreign minister met with the head of the UN nuclear watchdog Monday. The top Iranian diplomat posted on X that he brought real ideas for a deal, but said what is not on the table was submission before threats. President Trump says he'll be indirectly involved in those talks.
I don't think they want the consequences of not making a deal. They want to make a deal.
In Jerusalem, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham met with Prime Minister Netanyahu and U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, saying an American decision on action against Iran is weeks, not months away.
The best answer to all the problems created by Iran is regime change. The best answer is for the people to take the place of the Ayatollah.
Holding a Make Iran Great Again cap, Graham says the U.S. must deliver on its pledge to help Iranian protesters.
We're on the verge of eliminating the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the region. And with the fall of Iran comes the fall of Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. Normalization becomes far more likely.
Meanwhile, both Iran and the U.S. flexing their military muscle. Iran's Revolutionary Guard released video of a large naval exercise in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. responded with its own video of naval firepower, while the Air Force ordered more bunker-busting bombs. And in Gaza, Israel is issuing an ultimatum. In coordination with the Trump administration, the IDF is giving Hamas 60 days to disarm, including some 60,000 AK-47s used in the October 7th massacre. If Hamas refuses, Israel warns a full-scale war will resume. Paul Petit, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, let's continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, peace in Gaza, freedom for the Iranian people. In my view, it's high time for regime change in that nation. I don't see how you can ever come to a deal with them that you think that they would honor. They are bent on their murderous theology, and they think that continued violence is ushering in some kind of golden age for Islam. Keep this in mind. They call Israel the little Satan. They call America, they call you and I, the great Satan. And they think the United States is the biggest obstacle in the world for the worldwide domination of Islam. Keep that in mind in any negotiation. You're dealing with an enemy who wants to wipe us out. Well, in other news, and this is sad news, civil rights leader Jesse Jackson passed away at the age of 84 this morning. My father and Jesse were friends, and that may surprise some people because they didn't agree on politics at all. Jesse was clearly a Democrat. My father was clearly a Republican. But I'll never forget Jesse Jackson appearing on this show and congratulating my father for having Ben Kinchlow as his co-host. And he recalled the days when black people weren't allowed on television. It wasn't allowed. And here, Dad put Ben Kinchlow on as his co-host on a nationwide television show called The 700 Club. And this is before Moving On Up. This is before all of the various black sitcoms where it's now become normal in our culture. But go back to just the 1970s, and what a wonderful change has happened in our culture. And Jesse Jackson led the way on the Democrat side, and I like to think that CBN and the 700 Club represented Christianity well, that there's no division in the body of Christ. We're all one in Him. Let's continue until that becomes real throughout our nation. Let's not just have it be aspirational words that we repeat. Let us try very, very hard to be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, John Jessup has more on the story of Jesse Jackson and more news from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Important reminder there, Gordon, thanks. The Reverend Jesse Jackson served as a leader in America's civil rights movement for more than 50 years. An ordained minister, he worked with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He was on the balcony of Memphis's Lorraine Motel, where Dr. King was shot and killed in 1968. Jackson also ran for president as a Democrat in 1984 and 1988. The family did not release a cause of death, but in his later years, he suffered from Parkinson's disease. In a statement, his family noted Jackson's unwavering belief in justice, equality, and love. Well, a U.S. senator is helping faith-based groups fight America's housing crisis as more families are struggling to find places to live because of skyrocketing home prices and rents. Virginia Democrat Mark Warner hopes to ease the problem by helping faith communities create safe, affordable homes. Michelle London reports.
A historic cornerstone of Washington, D.C., celebrating 96 years of service. Southeast Tabernacle Baptist Church has a proud legacy passed down through generations.
My great-grandfather, he's the founder of the church.
And that legacy, started by Darrell Flood Jr.'s great-grandfather, extends beyond this building's four walls.
At that time, he provided, housing to many individuals moving from South Carolina and North Carolina into the D.C. area.
The church helped accomplish this over the years, buying land that surrounded Southeast Tabernacle and building affordable homes.
The church on one corner, a 14-unit apartment building on the second corner, and then 70 units in between.
That mission continues under senior pastor Dr. Reverend Donald Isaac, who describes the church's latest vision, purchasing this entire block and building affordable apartments.
On the higher floors, there would be residential housing.
The first phase of what will be called First Street Village includes an 80-unit building.
We believe that economic stability is fundamental, and a part of that is having a stable living environment and having a roof over your head. So the church has committed itself to use its land as we own it to address the affordable housing crisis in the city.
After 5 years of development planning, Isaac says technical compliance and loan approval hurdles have delayed the start of construction. If passed, Senator Mark Warner's Yes in God's Backyard Act could help speed up the process.
We've got so many churches that have got either an aging congregation or excess land.
If Warner's bipartisan bill becomes law, churches and faith-based organizations that develop or preserve affordable rental housing on their property would receive grants and technical assistance, such as help with zoning and permits.
We need to do everything we can on supply. This is not a problem of demand.
This aligns with Chamber of Commerce data, showing a fundamental imbalance between supply and demand is straining the U.S. housing market. That's led to a shortage of close to 5 million homes. Senator Warner sees the Yes in God's Backyard Act creating a twofold solution.
If you've got a declining congregation where you could generate some revenue to keep the church going, as well as start on the supply issue.
The affordable housing crisis contains complex layers. According to urban.org, while several cities have a supply of affordable rental units for those with low incomes, few are available to those who need them most. While Warner admits the initiative won't completely fix the crisis,
we think it is at least part of the solution, and it just kind of makes common sense.
The fact that this legislation recognizes that and provides resources is invaluable and indispensable and a very important tool to facilitate the work.
This Yes in God's Backyard Act extends beyond churches to synagogues, nonprofits, and higher education institutions that own underdeveloped land. Its passage would help ensure Americans, including veterans and low-income families, have a place to call home. Reporting in Washington, Michelle London, CBN News.
Thank you, London. Turning now to other news, a new threat in America's neighborhoods. Late last month, authorities seized more than 1,000 suspicious biological agents from a home in Las Vegas. Experts warn that such covert labs could lead to biological warfare right in our own backyards. CBN's Gary Lane has more.
On January 31st, SWAT teams and hazmat crews swarmed a Las Vegas home. What they found was shocking. A secret biological lab hidden in a garage, right in the middle of a neighborhood. This lab was tied to the same Chinese national who was arrested back in 2023 for operating an illegal biolab in Reedley, California. That's where authorities discovered deadly pathogens, Ebola, HIV, tuberculosis, malaria, and even genetically modified mice. Counterintelligence expert Casey Fleming says those two labs are just the beginning of something much more dangerous. He believes Chinese biowarfare is no longer some far-off threat.
The one in California was actually in a warehouse area, but this is in a residential home, so it's less likely to be discovered. But a whole assortment of very, very nasty viruses, very lethal viruses.
Was it just an uncommon discovery, or are there more of them out there?
You have to assume that there are more out there. The intended purpose is to kill Americans.
Fleming is the author of the book Red Tsunami. He contends the biolabs here in the U.S. are just one piece of a much bigger plan from the CCP.
27 years ago, the Chinese Communist Party said, we don't want to go up against the U.S. militarily. We want to do everything but that. So they redefined what war is. We think war is binary, and it involves our military, and that's not the way we can think anymore. This war is about every man, woman, and child being on the front lines to weaken the United States.
Unconventional warfare, not just bombs and bullets, mites, fungi, even viruses, targeting our crops with the goal to wipe out America's harvest. And there's more. Imagine another pandemic like COVID-19, but this time it starts right here in the U.S., not overseas.
The Chinese Communist Party is actually working on COVID-2 and COVID-3 and other very, very lethal viruses in the Wuhan lab. Now, these are a combination of, they've been stolen from U.S. labs, they've been stolen from Canadian labs.
Stolen pathogens brought into the United States undetected by the FBI and Homeland Security. What can we do to stop all this, Casey?
Number one, stop buying Chinese goods and services, period. And stop investing in companies who are doing business in China. You're only feeding and funding your enemy.
Fleming believes Americans are ultimately engaged in a spiritual battle.
If you want to boil this completely down, this is God versus Satan in all of its form.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
Thanks, Gary. Now to passing of the Academy Award actor who often explored themes of faith and redemption. Robert Duvall is best known for his iconic performances in The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and the TV Western miniseries Lonesome Dove. In 1983, he won a Best Actor's Oscar for his portrayal of a washed-up country singer in Tender Mercies. The character experiences a spiritual transformation shown through his baptism and deep discussions about faith and grace. Duvall also wrote, directed, and acted in The Apostle, a drama about a wayward Southern evangelist. In 2010, CBN founder Pat Robertson visited with Duvall at his Virginia farm, where they talked about the portrayal of faith in his films.
Well, you've been so sensitive to the Christian audience. You sort of have the ear.
Yeah, I think these films can resonate with both sides.
Sure.
Like I told you before, when I did The Apostle, I heard that Billy Graham liked it, and I got a wonderful letter from Marlon Brando. So I got it from the secular, from both sides.
The Apostle was just magnificent. You caught the mood like nothing I have ever seen.
Well, coming from you, that's a good, valid checkpoint.
Two iconic figures there. Robert Duvall Gordon died peacefully at his home Sunday at the age of 95.
What a great advocate, and definitely with The Apostle, he caught the mood. It was a fantastic film, and it showcased faith in areas that usually don't showcase faith, and so he was able to bring his faith and accurate depiction to the big screen. So we mourn his passing, and our thoughts are with his family and their time.